Hey yo, we in here with my Ixalan pre-release report. Welcome in, much love, Trav here. Walking back to the farm that I'm staying on, so if you hear some breeze and you hear some cars, that's what up. Day out, just passing some horses, and you can see the Waianae mountain range. You go check out my Instagram, I've got some pictures of that. Anyways, much love. I have a lot to talk about in this video, going over the new set, some takeaways, and also generally why I play pre-releases. So a couple reasons, and for one, man, well, the last three pre-releases I played in Mexico City, then I played in Arcata, California, then I played in Kapolei, Oahu's, Hawaii. So I've playing pre-releases in all sorts of shops around the world, and it's cool to play with casuals, and you know, some people recognize me, a lot of them don't, but it's just a lot of fun to meet people through this game, and that's why I play. Really, it's social. So it's also like Christmas when the new set comes out, you know. But for me, I'm looking at the Pro Tour, I'm looking at Phoenix, I'm looking at Worlds, which I'm not qualified for. And I'm not that mad about not being qualified for, because holy hell, I had a bomb-ass time here in Hawaii, going to the Big Island on Monday for a little bit, so pretty cool. But, you know, it's just to get prepared. It's important, even though it's casual, to learn the card art and the card mechanics as early as possible, so I have the longest time with it. One thing about learning is cramming is not necessarily the most efficient. You look at spaced repetition, it's actually better to have like 10 minutes once a week than multiple hours one time. So you want to space as much as possible. I want to familiarize myself as far in advance as possible. So the pre-release is actually a very important tournament for me, for my preparation. What's up, dogs? Okay, so here's my deck. I'm talking about some of the keys of the format, cards I didn't play. Not going to go over the whole pool, but seal deck, you know, you kind of have to play what you open, and this set is not like is the same. You can't really force color pairs. I've seen a lot of things when I decided to go with black red because that's where a lot of my rares were, that's where a lot of my removal was. This set in particular, I've talked about, there's a lot of mana sinks, things you can do with 4, 8, 10, like tons of mana. And that's really different from a lot of the more recent sets. Kaladesh and Amonkhet did not have a lot of mana sinks, which means you can play more lands now. I have historically always played 18 lands in sealed, and I went down to 17, sometimes even 16 recently, just because of the absence of mana sinks. But now we're back to more conventional Magic, where when I talk about mana sink, I mean like Captivating Crew. You can, if you have 12 mana, you can use it. I mean like this elaborate firearm that lets you get rid of extra cards, and if you have 4 extra mana, you can use it. There's also stuff like Rummaging Goblin at common, which lets you get rid of extra lands. There's a lot of Deadeye Navigators in mana sink. There's a lot of 1-drops that you can sacrifice for 8 mana to get an effect. I also had a bunch of 5 mana removal, but all that led me to playing 18 lands. And I think that 17 to 18 is kind of the norm and standard, and it should not be 15, 16, or 16, 17 as it had been. I personally will be playing an extra land. So I went 3-1 with this deck, which is about average, I suppose, maybe a little below average, but I can't be too mad about it. The one deck that I lost to, we'll get to, but I decided to build a draw first deck. So I've talked about it before in videos, but basically a draw first deck is trying to trade cards until there's nothing left, and you had drew 1 extra card this game, so you've got an extra creature in play. I like this strategy for a couple reasons. First of all, to me it was what the cards gave me with all this removal, and also these 1-drop death touch creatures. So much trading, I'm unlikely to die early, and I've got a lot of reasons why I can win late. So one of the reasons why I like the draw first strategy is because when you're winning, you're playing second a lot. So you want to put yourself in a position where you can win games 2 and 3 fairly easily from the draw. Another reason I like building draw first decks is sometimes you're unlucky with the die roll. And if the opponent is choosing to play, it's like you won the die roll every time. I only won 1 die roll out of 4 die rolls. Maybe I lost all 4. So, it didn't matter because I was going to play second anyways, right? I built my deck in such a way. And what's interesting is the match that I lost, the first game I got very flooded and I didn't draw any of my mana sinks or filterers. And if I had more, I would have played more. The second game, my opponent's deck was quite fast, so I decided to play first. And then what happened is I opened up on a really shitty draw. And with 7 cards, you mulligan on the play, you're not in the best spot in sealed. You keep a bad hand, you're not in the best spot either. I kept, the hand didn't develop, and I ended up losing to a good draw from my opponent. But if I had chosen to draw there, I actually might have been 4-0, which is pretty interesting. Also, the one guy I lost to seemed to be the guy who had the most experience besides me. He started playing in Revised. Let's look at some of the cards I chose not to play. One of the main ones I chose not to play was Blood Crazed Paladin, which was my stamped promo and was in black. And I think most people would not have cut this card. I just am not, it's situational, I want my 2-drop to be good on turn 2. And the upside of this is maybe you have some creatures trade in combat and you have a 2-mana 3/3 that you play on turn 5 and you double spell. That's not good enough for me. I don't really like that. Not a huge fan of it. Tell me if you think I'm way wrong on this, because I'm open to being wrong, but I was just disappointed. I cut these 2-mana 2/3 Desperate Castaways because they seem kind of clunky, like they get stuck in play, you can't attack with them, and they were going to make me want to play extra artifacts that I otherwise wouldn't. And you don't want to be too dependent on drawing your clue makers if you have to. Other cards I cut. I didn't play Dual Shot, I didn't play Skullduggery. I'm not a huge fan of these 1 damage things that kill X1s, because worst case scenario is you have nothing to kill. Best case scenario, you just killed an X1, right? The floor is very low, the ceiling is not very high. I would only really board these in if my opponent's deck is so fast or they have a bunch of X1 rares, which there aren't very many, like Deadeye Tracker, I suppose. So overall, seemed not good enough to me. Let's see what else. Grim Captain's Call. Here's a card that I chose not to play, which you would think would make sense because it goes with the theme of trading and drawing extra cards. My issue with this card here is, for one, you can't really play it on turn 3. It can be good later, but most of the time, I felt like it was going to return 1 to 2 creatures. It was very unlikely that it can return 3 creatures in this deck. And even drawing 2 situationally is just not good enough for me. I decided to play something else instead. I didn't play Makeshift Mannequin or Cobbled Wings because I wanted to trade and then have 1 extra thing left over. Cobbled Wings and Makeshift Munitions are fine cards, but they often can be card disadvantage, where you spend a card to give a creature flying, you don't have an extra creature, you just improved your 1 creature, you didn't get a new card, right? So I thought I would side that in versus heavy flying decks. No splash, I didn't splash anything, even though I had a couple clue makers, and you can do some cool splashes and stuff like that, but I think most people will do too much. I mean, I saw people playing 3 colors and complaining about mana screw. This is a normal thing. Just stick with 2 colors. You can splash 1 card of another color if it's a bomb rare, but otherwise just don't do it. Don't wish mana screw upon yourself. Don't wish mana problems upon yourself. Don't be the guy complaining about mana problems. Just don't let it happen to you. Stick to a good mana base whenever you can. And if you are going to splash, only for the cream of the crop bomb rares. Also, see people splashing 2-drop creatures. It's like you're not going to have that many sources to cast it, so these cards are going to get stuck in your hand. You want it to be when you finally draw the land to cast it, you just win on the spot with your crazy bomb. Not, okay, I can finally cast this 2-drop. That seems fucking bad, right? But people don't get that. Stick to 2 colors, stick whenever possible and splash. Especially in this set, because yeah, you have some treasures. They're 1 use only though. And there's no evolving wilds that come, and there's no Traveler's Amulet. There's none of that stuff. So stop building 3-color decks, right? Like if you have a 6/6/6 mana base, or even worse, like 6/6/5, you translate that to constructed. That's like you have 9 forests, 9 swamps, and 7 plains, and 25 land. That's fucking terrible. No one would do that for constructed. Why would you do it for limited? It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, again, you can sometimes play 3 colors, especially if you have the fixing, but the set really doesn't provide that. So I didn't do it. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to show the whole pool again. This is the deck that I built. I mostly won, by grinding people out and superior card quality, removing their threats and letting them eventually run out of stuff and killing them. And the extra card was helpful generally there. Again, I think playing 18 lands should give you an edge most of the time if you play all your mana sinks, and you stick to 2 colors, and that's it. And also play powerful cards. Don't play too many situational stuff that gets stuck in your hand, or things that have a low upside. So that's it. Hope you find that useful. Hope you find it entertaining. Let me know what you think. Would love to hear how your pre-release went, where you agree with me, where you disagree with me. And I look forward to seeing everybody at GP Phoenix, Pro Tour Albuquerque, GP Portland, and GP Santa Clara before I head off to Europe at the end of January for London and Bilbao and Lyon. And again, we're going to have a week-long meetup in France, work on our game. If you want some IRL feedback, you can get it, and you should hit me up. It comes with a 1-year mastermind online training, community forum, coaching calls, and feedback, and so on. So it is a good deal if you're serious, and you can be there. So much love, peace out, and let me know what you think.